So up until this point, we've only got one sequence programmed. Some people might refer to this as a cue or a lighting state, but we're going to refer to it as a sequence. You may be in a situation where you need a second one, and this second one is going to be doing something different. Let's write in some different MIDI. Delete that, delete that. Do one there, one there, one there. And then we'll chase it back down. We're going to hit Shift and Tab to get back to our device. Then let's give it some intensity so we can see what we're doing. Then we're going to make the pan and tilt values of this second clip different to the first one. So if we click back over here, we're going to press A to bring up the automation lanes. And if we go down to the first parameter, once we click it, you can see that the automation lane changes to that particular dial. If we click another one, say parameter 9, that is going to automatically change the automation lane, depending what we click on. So if we go back to the first one, if we remember right, our middle sort of home position was 0.5. So we're going to select the particular region. We're going to bring it down to 0.5, and as we do it, you can see that the particular light we're working with moves. So if we could just bring that down, there we go. Then now what we can do, we can copy and paste this to the next light. So if we highlight it, Command and copy, select the parameter, brings up the second one, click at the start of the region, paste it, click on the third one, start of the region, paste it, fourth one, start of the region, paste it, and there we go. So now we've got two different clips and sequences that have different values and different positions. So this is where I think the automation with Ableton is really powerful. So what we can do now, we can switch between the two. So currently this one's looping. We can stop that one. Oh, I need to turn down the intensity. Yeah, play that again. We're now playing that one. Stop that. Loop this clip with Command L. We can then play that one, and it's now playing a different sequence. So currently we've got this second clip that we've made. We can hit play either with the space bar or if we've got it assigned to our MIDI controller. But the next thing we need to sort of figure out is how can we then get back to the first one. So we can let it play. We could queue up the first one by selecting the start of the region, but once we hit spacebar, the session then stops. This might be fine, but if you want it to happen instantaneously, where we're playing and then it jumps to the next one and that one starts playing, the way I'm going to show you how to do this is using Ableton's Locators and a plugin called TAZ. Now, TAZ is a setlist management plugin. I'm going to include the link in the description, but if you go ahead and download that, you'll find it in the Max for Live devices. You drag it in and you'll see the plugin window here. So the way TAZ works is once we start adding locators, there'll be our first one, there'll be our second one. We're going to call these Q1 and Q2. Now with TAZ, when you name a locator, you have to put a star, if I can find it, before you write the name. So star space Q1 click on the second one, star space Q2, and if we click on the TAZ track, you'll see in the queue list they've been populated. So if we click out of that, we're then going to drag our loop over to Q1, open TAZ back up, select Q1, hit play. Currently this one is now going to be looping. So once it gets to the end of the loop cycle, it's going to jump back to the start and continue looping. So what if we want to get to the second one? You can see that TAZ has already loaded it up. If we hit play, it's going to play that cue, but the loop cycle is still on the first one. So we could quickly drag the loop over as we hit Q2 and it starts playing, if we've got time. Or what we can do is use a tool built into Macs called the IAC Driver, and that will enable us to make another track which basically triggers the previous locator using a MIDI note. So to do that, there's a few things we've got set up which I'll show you how to do quickly, and that will be a get around to having to quickly drag over the loop as you hit play. So to enable the IAC driver, first we're going to close down TAZ. We're then going to go to the launchpad, search for audio MIDI setup. You'll see this window pop up. If it doesn't pop up straight away, go to the top, hit window. It should say show MIDI studio. Currently it says hide because I've got it open. And then in amongst all of these, you're going to want to find the IAC driver. I can see that mine's here. I'm going to click on it. I've already got mine active, but if it's not on yours, you need to make sure this box is ticked where it says devices online, and then you can choose to rename the port and the device name in these here. But for the time being, you can just leave them as they are. So once we're back in Ableton, we want to go back into the preferences. So command, comma, link tempo MIDI. And on the input ports, we want to find the IAC driver, bus 1. Make sure the remote is enabled so we can remotely control it. And on the outputs, we want to ensure that the track is enabled. So if we exit that, the next thing we need to do is set up a MIDI track. So Command Shift T. Then on the output, we want to select the IAC driver bus 1. So the whole point of this is to have a MIDI clip act as a trigger to jump back to the previous locator. So currently we've got the loop doing it. So once it gets to the end here, it's going to jump back to this locator, and it's just going to keep going until we hit stop. But what the IAC driver is going to do, if we get rid of this out of the way, this is going to act as a signal using a MIDI note to go back to this locator once we get to the end here. So to do that, we're going to solo the IAC driver. We're going to open the MIDI clip by double clicking on it. We're going to choose a MIDI note. So usually I'll just go right to the bottom, so C-2, so it's nice and out the way. Drag it right to the end. You can click on the note and press legato, that'll do it right to the end. And then we need to make the connection of the MIDI note to the previous locator button. So to do that, we need to MIDI map this note to the locator button. So open up MIDI mapping, Command M. MIDI mapping is opened. I'm going to drag that back a bit so we can see what we're doing. Drag that down, and I'll tell you what, let's put it over here. Oh. we're going to choose an empty bit of space to start the transport. Making sure we're soloed, we're going to click the previous locator button, which is this arrow facing backwards. Click on that, and then when we hit play now, because we are soloed on this IAC Driver loop track that we're making, the only thing that's going to play is that MIDI note that we've wrote in. So if I hit play, you'll see that now on the previous locator button we've got that note mapped. So that confirms that that connection has been made. So we can come out of MIDI mapping, Command M, and to put this to the test, we're going to unsolo it. We're going to drag this clip to the back, and once we hit play, this should start looping. It's going to trigger that clip, and then that clip is basically jumping back to this locator here. So that is another way of how to loop a cue without using the loop cycle, and instead we're using the IAC driver. So with that MIDI track, we're going to duplicate it by holding Alt and dragging it across to the first one. That now means the first cue's got a trigger to loop back to its locator, and the second one's got a trigger to loop back to that locator. If we open up TAZ by clicking on the track, open up the cue list, make sure the first cue's selected, hit play, that is now going to be playing until we decide to move on. So we're going to let it loop, hit play, it's going to move to the next one, and you can see that now the second cue is rolling and it's being triggered back to its locator via this MIDI track using the IAC driver.